is important we see. When we use both the hemispheres, then the connections are emphasized and the learning becomes better for children. Why? Because there is self-directed speech. The child says it in an overt way and a covert way. So it helps them to verbalize what they are doing and reinforces their task. What are the benefits? We see there is visual motor integration, direction, and is there attention, handwriting skills are enhanced, mental calculation. As they go on later, the teacher will ask, what is 4 times 8? Or if I give you a 100 rupee note and if I ask you to return 20, what is the money you spend? So they are learning to hold on to information and process more than one source of information. Working memory is looked at, sequential ability of the child, copying skills, and tracking. They learn to become flexible. The rigidity in the child is lost. The next is the buzzer I was telling you. This uses the Morse code. I don't think you can see the thing at the back. It is the normal Morse code, and you have a buzzer. You can also download it on your mobiles these days. A long sound and a short sound. The child remembers it and says, for example, if I do the word count, you buzz it and the child says see, and buzz the second, and they look at the card, so visual attention, auditory, both are combined. He says O, then the next letter U. So he has to say C-O-U, and he recognizes the 4th letter and he has to say from the beginning. So memory is work. So when you finish the word count, he has to tell you what it means and how many meanings it can have, make a sentence of it, and then go to the board, write the word vertically, and give the key word for each of the letters. For example, C, he say cat. And then there is the vowel diagram. He has to say OU together, what is the key word, NT word. So they get reinforcement of the spelling pattern. Sentences are made, and then he has to go home and bring a sentence, another sentence. And our children are smart. They might bring one or two and say, this is my mother's sentence or this is my father's sentence. I said, very good, thank you, I want your sentence. The goal is to strengthen the visual imagery, auditory, sequencing skills, short-term memory. Cognitive is to their vocabulary. Our children, have a big drawback in vocabulary because not all of them speak the language at home and analyzing the word, because this calms them down to say what is the spelling and it helps them to remember. So the procedure goes like this. You always review the homework. Prior to the session, you choose the word, buzz the word, the child spells it, pronounces it, defines the word, and we also talk about parts of speech as they go deeper into the program, use the word in a sentence, and then take their blue book and analyze the word. Then they have a spelling notebook where we call it a 3-column book. They must be able to go back and write it in the correct column and come up with another word. This is a little research done by Christine Bauer from NILD. It shows the impact of the student intellect and the academic achievement with NILD therapy. You see there is a marked improvement in the full scale score of the child. Then you look at each component of the, this is on the RISC-4, the perceptual reasoning, processing speed, working memory, and verbal comprehension. There is an improvement within that short period, and we have seen an improvement. It is a change which is not something that they lose, it's a complete structural change that comes into the child. And you also see that there is an improvement in each component of reading, math, and the academic area. And the research also showed the best time or the period was between the children in the ages of 8 to 10. A significant improvement they saw. But the earlier, the better. When you start Search and Teach with very small children and then we bring them into this, by the time they go into their 12th, we're quite happy to say they get 70-80% and pass. Even we have trying out now with low functioning. That's why we are very happy with the DSM-5 or the RISC-5 both, because it looks at a lower scale. Even at children of 70 we take, okay, give this the scale score of the child changes, academic changes happen. But it is very important that any program that you use, you must follow it systematic, be very true. Don't try to look at a program and change it the next day. You become a master of it before you try to adapt it. Not, you go for a one-day workshop and say, I can do it. No. Practice it. Work. You will learn. Be a student of your student. That's the most important thing. And as a therapist, it is very important never to stop being a student. You have to add on tools to yourself. The next program is strategic intervention model from the Kansas. When the grant came in 1974, this was one of the universities that got the grant, and they did work in the districts of the Kansas state and around, and they did a research and they brought out a manual every 8 or 9 years saying there was significant improvement, and they focused on low achievers. They did not say anybody who was LD or SLD or what. They said, you have a learning problem, you are achieving low, so you teach them in this strategic way, you will improve. Because their goal was to bring about a dramatic improvement in the performance of children at risk. I was sharing yesterday with someone, when I used the word at risk, I was asked by a doctor in Chennai, why do you say at risk? That means you're not sure of what you're writing. I said, see, there are chances of this child improving if you teach him. He's not very low. He's got an IQ of 105 and his reading standard scores are coming at 50, 60. Maybe he's not exposed. If you teach him, he will improve. So I can now say he's at risk. Help him. No, I don't believe this. Either he is a child with no ability to learn in spite of his intelligence. So don't call him at risk. Say he's retarded. This was many years ago. So, I said, I'm not calling, because that was his son. I said, you want to call your son, you call, but I will not call my student that. But the child changed and the father changed later. So, the Kansas program was started in 1978. The mission was to bring about an improvement in performance through a research-based program. Today, you see it's used worldwide. Many states in the US use it and across the country. And I, as also in their team, as a trainer, we go around to many countries training people in the strategies. The approach has twofold. One, first is for the child, and also some tools for the teacher how to modify and teach a lesson. Because we teach the same way to all, some learn, some don't. So we need different ways to help them out. Why? Because the strategy is an individual's way of approaching. You may make a cup of coffee your way, and somebody else has a coffee in another way. There is a slight difference. But both are good coffees. So please remember, everybody has to have a strategy to go about helping, because it is important in this instruction, you are making the child learn how to learn and think, to become independent and qualitative. Not just give it, not rote learning. Because there are two major cognitive behaviors we want to look at. This is what goes on in this process, not the product. I got 2 plus 2 is 4. How did you get it? Is the most important thing. One of the child told me, she said, don't ask me why or how. If I give you the answer, take it and leave it. I said, yes. Now, we will have a rule. I will ask you how that happened in your head. You don't have to tell me what you did on the paper. That means I have to think. Your children are lovable. And our behavior of what one does. So a strategy is a critical guideline and rules related to selecting the best procedure and make a decision which one to use. You have so many things at home, and sometimes you say, like in the morning when you do it, sari to wear. So you're thinking, isn't it? A strategy is different from a basic skill or a static skill. Because here, let's look at this slide. You see, there are 3 components. Why it is multisensory? This is from Fundamentals of Paraphrasing and Summarizing. You model to the child. Then the child works with a partner. Then he does independently. So it is going step by step. Some children don't know what to do because they don't know how to do it. So modeling becomes a very important step. The next one, another one is a word mapping. This looks at teaching children structure analysis, the morphological aspects. Why? It teaches them prefix, suffix, roots, and then how to map a word, analyze the word. It's like a game they play. Research has shown that there is a significant improvement in word reading and in the child's ability to predict the meaning of the word. The task looks like this. You give a word, you say break the word into parts. After teaching them the structural analysis, then give me what do you think the meaning of each part is, put it together as a whole word and make a sentence and define the word. Because the next one is the content enhancement. I'm just showing you samples from here and there. Content enhancements are tools for teachers how to make a lesson, present a lesson in a different way. The critical features of this is you choose what you have to do and transform it in a manner that children become very interactive, no passive. Yes, miss, no. You have to ask a question every 2 minutes in a class. Somebody must be talking. You cannot give it and say it has gone in. Have a big interaction between them. That's the most important thing. It's a partnership between the child and the teacher. I'm going to show you a thing called the framing routine, which is a visual diagram. You see, the child and the teacher work together, identifying the topic, the main idea, the different details of it, and then they summarize it together. So it becomes part of it. They look at the lesson, they talk to you, and you will see them. It is again supported by research. You see, there is always a 10 to 15% increase. Now, she will show you a little video on another program called, another part of it called Lesson Organizer, where our 11th standard children, the first year.
What we have understand, because you understand the lesson. You have got your sheet. I'm going to put it in a board. Second one, also read your chapter. And for the first one, think. How are you thinking? Group work is what you have to do. You have to share. For teamwork, very important. Indian Constitution is made up of please state articles. It means we will learn about our domination of rights, like the laws, the acts, and the system of checks, and balance, paper underneath, so that.
So, you see, they're doing the lesson organizer. The lesson is done in interaction. Then the teacher goes through it. They do a reading practice and they learn the content of it. So, what are we looking at? We're looking at perception, attention, memory, language, visual, and spatial processing. We're looking at the executive functions of the child to enhance his processing ability. And another one we're going to look at is the FIE, the Fluenstein's Instrumental Enrichment. I say Professor Fluenstein is my guru. I met him when he was 72, and then he passed away 2-3 years ago. This is a strong belief person. This is you believe, you walk into a class or anyone, you believe that you can change the child and you are willing to change. And that is what really impressed me. He's a highly spiritual person. His instruments are standard and basic. For the last 10 years, he has another colleague in his office, Roman Bushman, who they have brought in tactile. It's wonderful. I really like it because it helps children with ADHD, low vision, and autistic children. We use the tactile. The child is blindfolded, and we work on with the child understanding the various thinking skills. As he's working on the instruments, instruments are paper and pencil activity or a board in this case. You find out how is he gathering information, how is he elaborating, and how is he saying it. It it helps us to understand where is the deficit and where you have to mediate to the child. Because Rowan, talks about IE, and the same principles are used by Rowan Bushman, where he says he's a creator of the tactile learning and tactile instrument. He has developed new methods to improve focusing and developing of adequate mental imaging for ADHD children, low vision children. So, in the first phase, the child uses multisensory modality. He touches, he feels, he hears, because you are taking away one area and they have to focus more. And it is amazing the attention span, curbing impulsivity for ADHD children. It is very helpful. It helps the child to link the verbal concepts and how to make schema for the perception images that he sees. It teaches them to compare the auditory and tactile data. It is wonderful, it's closing their eyes and they are feeling it. Okay, this is a little rough and the outline is like this, and they're comparing. So there's nothing to distract them. It works for them. What is the rationale? The tactile, the mediator here can get to know the cognitive process that is working through, as I mentioned earlier. Touch becomes a very important part in the thinking process. The tactile process shows how the strategies and cognitive functions are working. Brain-hand integration enhances cognition. It is a multisensory approach. It gives them strategies. As a mediator, you learn the steps to look out. It gives an active explorative behavior and also how tactile information of symbolic representation to improve mental imagery. They are able to do better visual imagery once they do this. The tools look like this. The corner one on the left corner is the wrong way. It should be vertical. So the child learns orientation of space, and the next one he is doing emotions, and then the one of illustrations, how he's going to describe this on transport, on vehicles. So many instruments are used. You see the child exploring, he's learning fruits there. And another sheet I'd like to share with you is the basic IE. It is on orientation and space. The child learns about orientation and also all the prepositions, positions. They learn to talk. It is helpful in developing vocabulary. This is from the standard instruments of organization of tasks and analytical perception, and another one on the unit to group for number sense and also for the basic level it works. You see some of the kids working on one instrument.
Draw a circle in the middle of the frame. Okay, what is the other aspect?
It's called instructions.
What is the shape of the box? Square. Where should we draw the circle? We must draw circle in the center. In the center. Will you be able to draw in this direction? Yes. How do you feel when instructions are not clear? I feel like being so confusion. How do you feel? Mood over. Mood is out there. There. I see. Getting for neighbors, okay, I know these questions. How are you? Yes, ma'am. Tell me in your home science, where do you follow instructions?
Bridging it to a subject area.
What happens when you don't follow instructions? Then the answer will be wrong. If you follow instructions, then only the
I'm sorry, it was not clear. So what you see is what they do is connected to their subject area. That is what is called as bridging. So if instructions are not clear, how do you do it? Thank you very much. It was just a glimpse of things. Pranita ma'am, for sharing your experiences and about the various programs that you're using successfully at the Alpha to Omega School in Chennai. I will now invite Dr. Francina Puchino, occupational therapist, Fatima Martins, to do introduction. There are times when you like to flex some muscles, isn't it? And here we have Dr. Francina Coutinho will tell us why it is important in the learning process. Dr. Francina Coutinho, pediatric occupational therapist, is a director of Inspirium Holistic Care. She is a consultant at PD Hinduja Hospital and an FDA member at McGill University, Montreal. Her clinical work focuses